I am proud to be from Northampton, Massachusetts, a town of 40,000 in the woods an hour and a half west of Boston. We have a Southampton, East Hampton, and a West Hampton, Massachusetts, not to be confused with the Hamptons, a group of hamlets which form the south end of Long Island, New York. President Calvin Coolidge was a Northamptonite before he became president of these United States, and we're home to Smith College. These two pieces of trivia mean we're better than everyone else in East Hampton, Southampton, and West Hampton. Northampton was once crowned Lesbianville, USA by the National Enquirer. And with pride, I marched on Washington with my friends in 1987, but behind a sign that read, "Fags from Lesbianville, USA." East Hampton, to our east, is very washers and dryers. I do not want to be mistaken for East Hampton, which was a slight rift between my family and me. When my dad decided to buy a bigger home on more land and move from Northampton to East Hampton, just as I graduated high school, I stayed behind in Northampton. Southampton, to our south, is quiet country John Denver, take me home country roads, upper middle class, but it's West Hampton, to our west, that holds a certain mystical lure for us in Northampton. We're not quite sure of ourselves in Northampton when the subject of West Hampton comes up. We see and hear about West Hampton in Town and Country magazines, summer dinners out on the white and yellow Norman Rockwell porch, quilts placed on the Adirondack chairs with storm lanterns lit for the evening. You want to go see West Hampton, but you never go. You don't know anyone who lives there, you don't know anyone who's been there, and no one is quite sure how to get there. You want to go to East Hampton, you go east. You want to go to Southampton, you go south. You want to come to Northampton, you come north. But you can't get to West Hampton going west. You have to go east to East Hampton to get to West Hampton. West Hampton lives in this kind of twilight zone. You can't get there from here, directional black hole. Born and raised in New England, I was taught if you don't know how to get somewhere, you don't go. You don't ask directions. If you ask for directions, you're going to be burned as a witch. I decided one day in my temperamental youth, I'm driving my $500 1978 Ford Pinto to West Hampton. Someone has got to go find it and end this nonsense, and that someone is going to be me. Promptly lost my place. I figured I could slip over to my parents' house, now in East Hampton, early one Saturday morning, and ask my brother Chris how to get to West Hampton. Chris is a heart of gold redneck, NRA, don't care that the world is flat, drive anywhere, probably been to West Hampton and never thought to mention it to anybody kind of guy. Oh yeah, West Hampton, really? I arrive at the Panzer family homestead this one Saturday morning, welcomed by coffee in the kitchen, to learn that Chris is not home yet from Mohican Sun Casino, where he went last night to see the Bear Titty Show and then played the slot machine, sluts and slots, he calls it. Suddenly, we hear this freight train-like steel wheel scraping coming down the street. Looking out the kitchen window, my brother's car is bent in half, tires gone. It's driving on all four rims with a shower of sparks shooting from the steel wheel, scraping across the road like 4th of July fireworks. The car swipes into the driveway and looks to me as if Chris has bent the car around a telephone pole and managed to get it home somehow in this. Together with my parents and sister, still in their bathrobes and slippers, we shuffle out to the driveway and over to the passenger side of Chris's car to see if he's okay. Chris is trying to kick the driver's side door open, and to no avail, climbs out the window, looks stunned to see us standing there. "What?" Chris finally says. "Hey, Chris," I try after things calm down between my brother and parents. "I'm headed over to West Hampton. And I was just kind of wondering what route you people take to get there." "You people? What do you mean, you people?" Chris says to me. "We drive west to go to West Hampton, John, just like we drive north to go to Northampton. How is this you people get to West? How do you get to West? Look, Chris," I said, feigning innocence. "I didn't mean anything by it. I was just headed over to West Hampton and wondered if you knew how to get there." "You people," Chris exclaimed, clearly on to me now. "From Northampton," he continues, "have the gall to look down on us when you can't even drive west to get to West Hampton. Well, we can." He finishes with a flurry, a self-righteous path-finding superiority, like he's the last of the Mohicans or something. "So that's how it's going to be." I said, "Yeah," Chris said, "that's how it's going to be." And I turned to get in my car and leave as he mocked me with, "Heading north back to Northampton." "West," I said, turning back to my family. "I'm driving west to West Hampton," I said to their shocked faces, with all the arrogance of cool wealth and mystery I could muster as I feigned casually getting back in my car, heading west, out of stubborn pride. With a last glance out the rearview mirror, I wondered where I might end up, knowing there was very little chance of finding West Hampton, driving west. Surely I would land in some small New England town, and without explanation as to what I was doing there, I would be burned as a witch. Many years later, I fucked up my beautiful life in San Francisco. I chose the surrender of euphoria with drugs and anonymous sex over substance abuse recovery and the man I loved, Mr. Albert Santos Cruz. My money, cars, home didn't matter. It was losing Albert that made me want to get clean and sober. I came back to the fireflies in the fields of New England, the soft clover beneath the willows on sweet fire eyes. I rented an apartment in West Stockbridge, Massachusetts. West Stockbridge is west of Stockbridge, but you can't get to West Stockbridge driving west. You got to drive north to Lenox and then west to get to West Stockbridge. Mr. Albert Santos Cruz came from San Francisco to visit me in West Stockbridge at a time I was clean and sober, but still struggling to know north from south, east from west. We were looking around the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge when Albert asked me if I knew how to get home to him in San Francisco. And while the answer is drive west from West Stockbridge for 2,800 miles, I paused to consider his question and my answer carefully. If I want something different, I have to do something different. I live like the exalted play of ravens in a hurricane. Every sailplane pilot discovers if you fly towards a storm, you lift on the warm air rising, and every sailplane pilot must come to the moment they realize you're soaring into a storm. And depending on how close you get, deal with the consequences. This is how I lived my life, sailing towards storms. Just then I realized I'm looking over Albert's shoulder at a Norman Rockwell painting of trees and a field with white and yellow country houses and a porch with Adirondack chairs that says West Hampton, Massachusetts. There's even a little dirt road from one end of the scene to the other, as if teasing me that West Hampton is a real place I could actually drive to. With my eyes fixed on the Norman Rockwell painting of West Hampton, Massachusetts, I said, yes, honey, staying clean and sober one day at a time is how I get home to you in San Francisco, California. As I looked up into his beautiful black eyes, Eyes of onyx and Juliet's cut stars. I could tell from his smile I had the correct answer. And he wrapped me up in those big arms of his and hugged me right there in front of everyone at the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Thank you.